history give us foresights into the future. Part of the reason for me to produce this program is that there isn't such a comprehensive series out there on modern art. Through my study notes, so to speak, viewers who are interested in modern art but do not have the time to make the independent study could take advantage of the effort that I have made. So besides stories of artists and analysis of their paintings, I include here from time to time my realization of various issues related to modern art, because those issues are as important as artists and their works in understanding modern art. To become a creative artist, I think that everyone, even without any particular knowledge about modern art, would agree with me that the path is strenuous and treacherous almost all the time, no matter how you go about it. From the artists that we have already covered, we know precisely how hard they are. In the past, there is an understanding that only those who are too good to be lawyers or doctors could try art, as we have seen quite a few of them dropping out of their legal careers to pursue art. At the beginning of my career, I worked for a medical equipment company for 5 years and practically lived with some residents in hospitals while resolving some technical issues concerning our equipment. You know, they never go home either. Now I'm a lawyer myself. I speak with direct experience how hard those two professions are. That's why so many lawyers and physicians try to dissuade their children from entering their professions. With so many lawyers and physicians who hate their jobs, I'm quite confident to say that those who want easy lives should avoid these professions. This is especially true since America is such a wealthy country. There are many easier jobs to make a living than law and medicine. With all that said, I want to say that artists' careers are much harder, especially if you do it at the beginning of your career when you still need to have a continuous income to handle the bills, etc. We see many artists having trouble setting up and maintaining stable families and often blame their womanizing for it. I think more than anybody else, the artists want stable families simply because they need them. But the art career are so tough that they simply don't have the time and energy to manage it, or even to learn how to manage it in the first place. It is just a window for us to see how hard artist careers are, and by the same token, how demanding it is to be their wives. On this, Gauguin was undoubtedly a failure. To an aspiring artist, are you ready for such a career? All the women that Gauguin could manage in France were prostitutes. To get ahead of ourselves a little bit, Van Gogh was also such an example of failure, but Matisse and Picasso managed it much better. For lawyers, even shrink handbooks say not to bother with treating their problems. All they should do is to manage the symptoms. Psychopharmacology, that's what they're talking about. Get it? One thing the lawyers have going for them is that they are either making money or looking for jobs. In other words, if they're doing something, they're making money. For artists, they must focus on digging deep into their feelings, especially the pain, by overcoming their psychological self-protective mechanism to intentionally suffer from it again and again, so they could have an understanding enough to translate it into art. Then, after all the torments, if their paintings do not sell, they would get no money. Furthermore, in order to be creative, some artists resort to drugs for inspirations. But drugs only alter their views a certain way. Soon, with enough people using drugs to induce things, the styles will become stale. Many movies these days try to parallel the experience of computer games, but they're just there to make a quick buck like those computer game companies. For them, tobaccos are passé, but computer games and social media are in. They're peddling addiction. Art has nothing to do with it. In today's schools, there is an even weirder tendency. Those who are good at math, physics, or chemistry are advised to pursue those careers. But those good at nothing are often convinced to pursue art, simply because there is no clear standard in art world. Just imagine that you take an art class. Your teacher, a failed artist probably, is bound to say that you're good. So you would come back for more. At least he doesn't have to deal with the question why he has failed his job. or even why he had kept you on for so long in the first place, knowing you are beyond his ability to teach. Today's wacko newspapers are of no help. I have read from probably the leading newspaper in the country that basic skills are unnecessary to become a good artist. There are only so many things one could do in art, basically structure and color. Most artists need both to impress their viewers. Those who want to be lawyers need to know that it is a profession of taking on other people's troubles as your own and take care of them for your clients, who are often suspicious of your work or your billing or both. On top of that, you need a constant string of troubled people to maintain your income. Sick, right? For artists, they need to turn viewers' frustrations into art and make them see it. It is a task much harder. Not to mention that customers only pay for the results. In other words, that is equivalent in lawyers' world that if you lose your case, you do not get paid. In lawyers' world, only 50% lose their cases. But in the art world, probably 80% of the artists lose to those 20% winners. Producing these programs definitely has given me a renewed reverence to artists of every type, especially those considered failures in their lifetimes, such as Van Gogh and to some extent, Gauguin. Here, of course, I don't mean the career of becoming a tenured professor somewhere. Those are different careers. Just imagine a profession without a standard. How are you going to compete against other professor wannabes? In human society, those conditions tend to bring out the darkest and ugliest aspects of human nature. I think that today's educational system is deteriorating as alienation or Entfremdung sets in. Please excuse my German pronunciation. Since we're talking about artists, let me talk about another group that I have intimate knowledge of. In the past, from 2012 to 2016, I maintained a YouTube channel making weekly news commentaries in Chinese, actually by posting my radio program recordings on YouTube. Since I stopped doing the radio program, I have pretty much stopped updating that YouTube channel. To my great reverence, many Chinese language YouTubers have since started trying to make livings on YouTube by reporting and commenting on news. I don't know how many of them knew what they were getting themselves into, but because of them, the Chinese-speaking people have an easier access to news these days, regardless which site you are on. One of the Chinese language spillover into English is called the Epoch Times. In my case, it is funny that I have to listen to Chinese these days to get American news. It is sad that the so-called mainstream media, which should be more appropriately called the establishment media, have been increasingly reporting distortions. While I was doing the radio show, the Los Angeles Times interviewed me for several hours. When the article came out, it was duly in the format of presenting two sides of views, but in reality just one side. My view or my side was not presented, because I was against the state government to discriminate Asian kids only because of their skin color. Since then, I knew that the paper was for the establishment of a new racially discriminating system in America. Opposite opinions are verboten. After learning my views, the paper never called me again, obviously. So you wonder why the readerships of Los Angeles Times, New York Times, CNN, Fox News are all going down. For Chinese language speakers, we of course could listen to our own YouTubers who have the courage to stand up to the threat of YouTube. I almost said here, the Chinese Communist Party, and report the news as they see it. The establishment media and YouTube really make me feel that I'm back in China. So far, not many programs have been cut by YouTube. I certainly hope that Google had the good sense not to ruin this wonderful platform and allow different voices to coexist, or someone needs to put some money together to build a new YouTube. Back in Gauguin's time, we saw in the last episode his success in imagining up an outlandish paradise, but somehow he thought what we call today statutory rape as part of that charm. The sufficiently enlightened crowd in Paris was obviously not amused, by his marriage to and abandonment of a 13-year-old in Tahiti and his open affair with a half-Indian, half-Malayan teenager in Paris. I don't know whether it was the high prices he set for his paintings or his disgusting behaviors that caused the failures for his selling of those 70 paintings that he did in Tahiti. But his loss of the Durand-Ruel gallery cost him the American market altogether. Although Ambroise Vollard, the dealer who gave Cézanne a one-man show in 1895 of more than 150 paintings, kept trying, the result was dismal. In July 1895, after getting everything and losing it, getting everything again and losing it all again, Gauguin set sail to Tahiti, most definitely with a broken heart, never to see France again. We'll get to his life in Tahiti in the next episode. I'll see you then.